Right now, the Detroit Lions are on the outside looking in of the 2025 NFL playoffs. A lot of analysts had the Lions missing the playoffs this year, and some of you in the comment section did as well. I myself think that the Detroit Lions are going to be able to get there. I'm just not sure about the division just yet. I will have a better grasp of that after that Thanksgiving game against the Green Bay Packers, because right now they have actually lost. They are 1-2 in the division with 3 games left. So they beat the Chicago Bears. They lost to Minnesota. They lost to Green Bay. They play Minnesota again, second to last game of the season. That game could be huge for both teams. And they play the Green Bay Packers in 9 days. So this is the stretch where the Detroit Lions are going every year. If the schedule lines up like this, we have 3 games in like some preposterous 11 days or something crazy. It's something crazy. 3 games in 18 days or something like that, that the Lions, because they always play on Thanksgiving, they usually play the Sunday before that. Then they play 3 days later or 4 days later on Thanksgiving. And then there's like a break. So yeah, it's 3 games in 11 days. And this is the year that we're going to have that as well. As a matter of fact, we have a game on the 23rd. Then we have one on the 27th. So the 30th would be 7 days. Then you have the 14th is when you have the Dallas Cowboys. So the Lions are actually starting their 3-game homestand. This is the last back-to-back home games of the season. We've got the Giants, then we have the Green Bay Packers, and then a week later on Thursday Night Football, we play the Dallas Cowboys. After that, we go on to take on the LA Rams, come back home for our last home game December 21st, man. That's kind of crazy that our last home game will be in before Christmas. Then just a few days after that, as a matter of fact, 4 days after that, we play the Minnesota Vikings, and then the to be determined game is against the Chicago Bears for the last game of the season. I think those 2 games are going to be huge for all 3 teams. Lions, Bears, and Vikings are all going to be trying to get into the playoffs. The Vikings might be the only team that's kind of out. So, but we'll see. We'll see, because they're hanging on right now, and they did beat us. So they have right now the tiebreaker there. So this last month of the season is going to be absolutely insane. But last week, the Detroit Lions were 7th on the power rankings. I believe they were. And I'm wondering where they stand right now. Are they they did lose to the previous number 1 team. I think, no, it was the Rams. Then it was Seattle. Then it was the Eagles, I think it was. So I don't know. I feel like they're going to drop. They're still going to be in the top 10, but I think they're going to drop from 7. So without further ado, let's look at your Week 12 NFL Power Rankings. All right, so let's take a look at NFL.com and see exactly where the Detroit Lions stand after that Week 11 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, man. This is the last day we can kind of talk about it, and then we got to move on. You can see here, the Rams take turn at number 1 spot. Chiefs nosedive out of the bye. All right, so here we go. So that means that the Rams are going to be number 1. They actually moved up to 1 spot, so it was Seattle. That's right. It was Seattle number 1, the Rams number 2. So I'm guessing that the Eagles are going to be number 2 now because they won their game. No, the Colts. So the Colts are number 2, up 1 spot, which means that the Eagles move up from 4 to 3. Seattle, where's Seattle going to be? Are they going to be 4? All right, Seattle 4 down 3 spots, and number 5 is going to be the Denver Broncos. Slowly but surely, man, he's been putting more and more respect on the Denver Broncos name. All right. So the Detroit Lions are no doubt going to be, I think they're going to drop, but they were 7 last week. Let me see who number 6 is. The New England Patriots, no change from last week. The Detroit Lions were 7th. Now they are not there. The Buffalo Bills up 2 spots. So I'm going to say that the Lions swapped with the Bills. I'm going to say that. So the Lions are now going to be 9. Then you have the Detroit Lions, man. So I was right and wrong at the same time. I did say that they would be between 7 and 10, or they would be in the top 10 still, but I thought he would have swapped spots. So the Lions 8 down 3 spots. To round out the top 10, the Green Bay Packers, and then The San Francisco 49ers, man. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a crazy end to the 2025 NFL season. All right, I'm very curious to see what he's going to say as he likes to dissect the Lions. All right, had a sip of my coffee there. Here's what he had to say. Says the Lions have come up short in some of their biggest matchups this season. Can't disagree there. And outside of Ford Field, they're not performing to the level we've become accustomed to seeing. I can't disagree with that. Already suffering their third road loss, the same number as they had the past two regular seasons combined in Philadelphia on Sunday night. Interestingly, they still have a better playoff probability than the Bears per Next Gen Stats, and we'll talk about that a little later. Even as Detroit finds itself in third place in a tough division. This was a major setback for the offense as Jared Goff had one of his worst games in recent memory, and the Lions were terrible on third, 3 for 13, aka 3-1-3, and fourth downs, 0 for 5. So we went 3 for 18 on third and fourth downs combined. There's no shame in losing to the defending champions or champs, but the Lions talked as if it was a must-win game. Well, Eric, only one person said that, okay? So keep your mouth, bro. Shut your mouth. And yet, it felt every bit as frustrating offensively as the week one defeat in Green Bay. I think it felt worse because we've had 10 weeks of practice. Detroit's defense stepped up, but the offense followed arguably its best game of the season with one of its worst. Well, outside of that one kind of dig at Aiden Hutchinson or what the team said, only one person said that, bro. So do your research, young punk. But outside of that, man, I can't disagree with anything that he said. 100%. Dan Campbell was on 97 won the ticket today, and he said that, just had it was that game. Jared Goff had one of those games. And is that why Amon-Ra St. Brown was off? I don't know. The whole team was off. I did hear, and I'm not trying to put this on the code, but it was unlike seasonably cold in Philly. So I'm kind of glad I didn't go because literally right now I'm sweating. I'm sweating because I'm still not 2 weeks later. I'm still not well. I'm probably about 60%. So, but not to say that that's the reason they lost because they played in a worse game when we played the last game of the 2022 season. It was cold that day when we put the Green Bay Packers out of the playoffs and we had no chance of making it. So it could have affected the Lions, but not enough where it just threw everybody off where they couldn't win a game. We know this team was built on that grit of winning those type of games. So can't really disagree with anything that he said. It was a terrible performance. It was one of Jared Goff's worst. I did like how I do like that, with the amount of scrutiny that Jared Goff gets. I swear, man, did you know that Jared Goff had the highest completion percentage in the NFL going into week 11 at 74%. You know what that means? That means that 1 out of every 4 passes, that means that every time Jared Goff throws 4 passes, 3 of them are caught. For every 4 passes that are thrown by Jared Goff, 1 is incomplete. It was great to see Dan Campbell do as he usually does. And instead of throwing his people under the bus, he gets behind everybody. And I just don't understand, man. Jared Goff is our quarterback. And I don't, it really grinds my gears. It really grinds my gears because I'm like, he's the first person we blame. I understand that. He touches the ball nearly every play. But why is he the first person? If you don't like him, fine. If you think he's trash, okay, that's your opinion. If you think the Lions will never win the Super Bowl with him, that's also your opinion. And you could be right. If you see why the Rams got rid of him, you could be right? I'm just like, the guy, it's almost like he can never be good enough. Even when he's great, even when he's elite, it's overshadowed when he has a bad game against a good team. He has a bad game against a good team, and we're ready to throw him away. I'm starting to kind of feel like before Stafford asked to be traded, there was times that I was like, you know what? Why don't we let this man go? Why don't we let him go? right? Let him go and let him go somewhere else and win a championship. It wasn't until he asked to leave that, I was like, we can't have that. We can't have that. So that's when my opinion of him changed. But of course, that's my opinion. You can have your own. But it's like, I'm trying to understand why that Jared Goff can play as well as he does, where 3 out of his 4 passes are completed, but yet the minute he has a bad game, every single flaw that he has is elevated. And I don't know if I remember this because social media was different. The way the teams were covered is different. But when Stafford was here, bro, he was under some scrutiny, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't like, oh, there are some people that was like Stafford is the reason that we're losing and all this other stuff. So, but I think the hate is more for Jared Goff. I really believe that. And I don't know if it's because Stafford went from Georgia to the Lions and was with the Lions for 12 years. I think that for Goff, he has this stigma of the same way like Hutch has shorter arms for a defensive end, right? But the dude is a beast. There's no doubt about it. Aaron Donald has short arms for a D tackle, but he was a beast. Hall of Fame, first ballot, right? So it feels like that for because Goff has the baggage from LA, I think that that's why Goff gets such a raw deal. It's like Stafford had the baggage of your team sucks. The Rams have, it was like, okay, we sucked, so we draft you first overall. You take us to the Super Bowl. Well, I saw in the comment section yesterday, Goff is not the reason the Rams went to the Super Bowl. What are we talking about? He literally, the year the Rams went to the Super Bowl, he beat Patrick Mahomes for what I believe to be the first time in one of the third highest score game in the NFL, outdueled him, right? But he wasn't the reason. Of course he was part of the reason. He was the quarterback of the football team. What are we talking about? Like that, it's dumb to me. That's not like Stan Stafford wasn't. Now, unless, I understand what you guys are saying, because if you go back to Trent Dilfer, again, Trent Dilfer was the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens who was killing everybody with their defense. So I understand that. Goff won't win you the game. I mean, it's almost like we push the goalpost or we raise the bar. Every time it's up, he can have a perfect game, literally a perfect game. Up, it's not enough. He's not mobile enough, right? Anyway, so I just had to kind of get that out because it's grinding my gears. Every single time we lose, man, and you know where I'm going. Everybody catches smoke. Goff had a horrendous game. I don't know why. He had a horrible game. So did St. Brown. So did the offensive line. So did. But you know who I'm coming for. One man in a world. One man has positional value. Villain. He is Brad Holmes. Like that's it. That's all. Brad Holmes. He's responsible for Goff being here. He's responsible for him getting extended. He is to blame, period. That's it. If he didn't believe in Goff, Goff wouldn't be here. So who you blaming? That's why I'm like, I'm tired of all that. Goff stand up and take it like a man, where Brad Holmes disappears at the trade deadline. And Jalen Phillips over there swinging like a wrecking ball, man. It's crazy. Anyway, this channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube and sometimes change your thumbnails and titles, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.